You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
Welcome back to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell.
And co-host Keelan Harvey.
Your local mortgage experts right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, October 6th show. It's a great day to talk money, and that's what the show is all about, how to make money, save money, and have a better quality of life for you and your family. If you're hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but we're here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that we have on the show. You can call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. In studio right now, Sandi Tampa with Windermere Real Estate East, and we're talking about what's happening in the real estate market today. Sandi, thank you so much for joining us back in studio. It's been a little while since you've been here.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and excited to hear what's happening in the market. So a little bit about Sandi. Sandi is a skilled veteran with 12 years in residential real estate experience. She is based out of Bellevue and primarily focuses on the east side. Sandi is a highly accredited managing broker. Her credentials include accredited buyer's representative, certified residential specialist, and master certified negotiation expert. What does this mean to you? It means that she's dedicated to being the best that she can to serve you and your referrals with the highest level of professionalism and skill possible. Sandi specializes in applying her local expertise and market knowledge to her business. Experienced negotiation and cutting-edge marketing strategies combined with uncompromising integrity is the trademark at Sandi's service. Sandi has worked with in every facet of the industry, representing sellers, buyers, and investors.
Sandi, you got some initials next to your name. That's a good thing. So,
just a couple.
Just a couple. So...
alphabet soup.
Yeah. No. Well, so tell us, what the heck's going on in the market?
Yeah, it's a good question. There's definitely a shift happening. We, in fact, I'm going to be talking today off August stats. September stats got to me right as I was actually walking into studio.
Go figure how that happens.
And I was tempted to dive in, but I was like, I need to digest
August is totally fine.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. So we have had a growth in inventory for the last 6 months. Uh-huh. And the last 4 months, we've had a decrease in number of pending sales. The decrease in pending sales that time of year is normal, but the increase in inventory is something we haven't seen in many years. In fact, our inventory is at a level that we haven't seen since 2014. That said, we're still by the numbers. So the way we gauge whether we're in a buyer's market or seller's market is something called months of inventory, which is how we take our pulse of the market. And we are, for August, we are at 2.2 months of inventory. Anything less than 3 months of inventory is still a seller's market. However, this time last year, so August 2017, we were at 0.9 months of inventory, which is crazy, crazy low. But that's a 244% increase. So it's kind of the equivalent maybe of going 150 miles an hour down to 70 miles an hour.
Yeah. So go ahead,
Well,
Sandi.
I was going to say, but if you're out there in the trenches, it definitely, there's a palpable change in what's happening.
Yeah. So when it's hard to kind of come to the perspective or have a perspective on what this means because of just what you said, you know, such a drastic from 0.9 or, you know, to 2.2 months. But the reality of being the 3 months is kind of that when you're in a buyer's market. So we're still in a seller's market. It's just adjusting to this crazy dramatic. And it really did seem literally like overnight.
Yeah, you know, yes, and that's how it happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely by the numbers, and again, I'm anxious to see what September says, but by the numbers, we're in a seller's market. But we're seeing longer days on market. We're seeing price drops, which we hadn't seen in a while. And
I had a $10,000 seller credit come across my desk on a contract, and I was like, "Oh my golly, $10,000 seller credit." That was not after. And they still had the inspection to go. That was before the inspection, you know. So.
Yeah, and even an inspection contingency, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
what is that?
Yeah, exactly. So I think right now probably a better way to describe it is we're acting more in a balanced market. Some things are going to behave a little bit like that have been on the market a little bit and maybe priced ahead of the market when off the trajectory of increasing prices, so they're having to come down in price. But you'll still see things that come on the market, the cream puffs that are priced well in great condition. Those can still sell fast.
So should we be panicking? Is like the bubble bursting? I mean, is it here or what's happening?
Right. That's a great question. And, the fear of what happened in the 2007 to 2010, that plummet of pricing. And that I truly don't think so. My crystal ball isn't that great. But, the lead up to the 2007 peak in pricing had everything to do with predatory lending. People were buying homes that shouldn't have been. And so right now, our fundamentals are still there. Pricing and the real estate market's all about supply and demand. And Tina, you touched on that supply. We can't have new community. So speaking on the east side, that's where I work. We're landlocked. You can't build new communities, and then even condos being scarce. And our demand, we have job growth, we have population growth. Those millennials are bigger than the baby boomers, and we also have income growth. So the supply and the demand and the fundamentals are still there.
Yeah. And, there's three things that you need you need sellers, you need buyers, and you need money. And we've had buyers. We've had no issues with buyers. We've had no issues with money, and we don't still. And the issue that we had with sellers is now coming in. So it really is getting to us a place that we have everything that we need to be a strong market. So, Sandi, what are you telling your sellers to do right now that are thinking of possibly selling?
Yeah, so it's home preparation is more important than ever. I always was a believer in home preparation, but now you've really got to go the extra mile. So if you were thinking about painting before maybe staging could just cover that sin, you've got to do everything you possibly can and just know you've got to put that best foot forward. And then you need to price ahead of the market, and the supply and the demand is putting that downward pressure on pricing. So you need a price on the lower side than you might have in the April or March timeframe. Yeah,
and I want to give a shout out because we do have two real estate experts here. We're going to talk with Britt in our last segment here, but get creative as sellers and things that are differently. And we actually have an equity protection program that a seller can attach to their home so that they're protecting the new buyer's down payment from the market dropping. So I just want to, we were not going to talk about it today. I just wanted to throw that out there. But so it's doing everything that you need to make sure that you have the best looking home. You've got the best options so that you can compete with the other ones out there. Correct?
Exactly. You've got to be the best looking one at the most attractive price. Yeah.
So we pumped the brakes, Sandi. So we went from 150 to 50 or 70 miles an hour, and then you have the seasons.
That hurts.
It hurts. It does hurt.
It's jarring.
It's jarring, right? And but then we have the seasons too, and it's kind of historically the slow season. We're kind of in there in that time. So, what do you recommend for your sellers? Like, when should they list?
That's a great question. People always want to know, when's the best time to sell? My favorite time to sell, and I'm looking over at Britt. I don't know what she would say, but I think I'm a little counterculture in what I say, but it's actually January.
Yeah.
And here's why: is come January 1st, buyers are ready to buy, sellers are ready to sell. A buyer can just get a pre-approval, jump in the car, and start looking for houses. A seller, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks to get that house on the market.
Yeah.
So January poses a great opportunity of a big set of buyers without a lot of competition. So that's always, if you can pick, we sell real estate year round here, and you can't let the tail wag the dog. You got to do what's right for you.
Makes sense. And so what type of advice are you giving your buyers right now, Sandi? Because I think that's the biggest thing that's been great for all of us in the industry and behind the scenes of just it being a little bit easier conversations that we're having with buyers. And so how's it going with you?
Yeah, so circling back to buyers and what's happening in the market, I think there's actually some pent-up demand because I think buyers are uncertain right now because of what's happening. And when buyers have uncertainty, they don't make buying decisions.
Yeah.
And so I think they're tapping the brakes just to see what's going to happen. And price reductions are making them a little timid. What I would say is have the courage. So buy for the right reasons. Buy if this is where you want to live. This is where you're going to create your memories, and you can be there for 5 years, and you can afford the payment. I would say have the courage, take advantage, be in your home and make it great.
And we're seeing what's happening with interest rates. I mean, so that most likely is going to continue to be a factor as well, which drops that buying potential. So, take advantage of the rates before they continue increasing.
Absolutely. Interest rates, as you know, impact affordability more so than purchase price.
Yes, 100%. Definitely.
Yeah. So that's another reason how come I'm trying to nudge any buyer I can get who will listen to me.
And if you look at the numbers, I mean, the cost of waiting versus purchasing now, which is all around the interest rates and the increase, and the numbers don't lie. It's really easy to see how that affects your buying potential with just a small increase in interest rates. So it's really just taking the time to go through those numbers and review them.
Yep. You live in the payment, not the price.
I love that.
That
you live in
is
the payment,
well
not the price.
said.
I like that. I have to borrow that, Sandy.
Write that
I'm
one.
sure I borrowed it from someone.
We all borrow everything, right? Yeah. So what about, I'm going to flip that question to the buyer side. When's the right time? When's the right season? I agree with you, especially with our people. I'm urging people as well. If you can buy now, get on it. I mean, housing prices are not dropping crazy. Interest rates are going up. Your buying power is going down. Mm-hmm. Hop on it if you can. But kind of what's your advice as far as when you should buy?
Totally agree. If you would have asked me, if you would have asked what the equivalent answer to the January for sellers, if you would have asked me a few months ago, I would say August, because August tends to, we tend to have this little bit of a slowdown with buyer activity, but we have a lot of inventory. I see Brett nod in her head. So you tend to have a lot of inventory with little buyer activity. Mm. But right now, it's a fantastic time to buy.
Yeah. And so let's go back to the seller side, since you wear both hats in representing buyers and sellers. Pre-inspections. I know, having sellers do pre-inspections is a great thing, right?
Yep. And I still think no matter the market that's still a great step in the process to go through, because you don't want to, if there's a problem with your home, you need to know about it now.
Yes.
And before you go on the market, so you can strategize on how to handle it when you're in control of the process. If it happens during an inspection contingency while the buyer has control of the process, it's going to just take longer and probably ultimately cost you more money. And
then so when the buyer's coming in, are you still encouraging your buyers they're going to get their own inspection or going off that pre-inspection?
Well, it depends on who. So if I'm representing a buyer on a
if
seller,
you're representing the buyer,
it depends on the inspection report and how we're feeling about it. And we probably are going to use the inspection report, the seller's inspection report, if we feel like it was done by a professional and makes sense in their photos and it looks thorough and it was recent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to kind of flip back to the selling side a little bit. The whole reason we did that down payment protection plan was really just to give people that little urge and cushion that, and the confidence to go out and buy a home that at least 20% or $200,000 is covered. And, maybe that's what they need when they're scared of buying in the peak of the market.
Love it. Yeah.
So what do you think are today's risks for sellers?
For sellers, so the risk is that your house won't sell. You're going to have longer market time. So, you need to be prepared for longer market time. Your house isn't going to sell in a hot second. You've got to really pay attention to see what's happening around you with competition. And actually, what you're seeing right now is a lot of price drops. And I sometimes think that if nobody's buying around you, dropping the price isn't going to, if there's no buyer activity, making that price drop isn't probably going to generate activity.
Yeah.
So just critically think and be prepared for market time.
Makes sense. And regardless of the market, we talk about this on, all the show, whether it's a seller's market, a buyer's market, it doesn't matter. Price is really what's going to make or break that success in the process. Correct, Sandy? And really pricing that home correct.
Pricing that home correct is that's even in a seller's market, you've got to nail that pricing. It's we are a very passive negotiating culture here, and you've got to nail it and try to get, parades don't go backwards. And when you have that first week on the market, you're going to get your best activity, most excitement, and you want to do everything you can to capitalize that.
Yes. Yeah, makes sense. Well, Sandy, thank you so much for coming back in studio. It's always a pleasure to have you and see your smiley face.
Thanks.
Coming up next on the Money Hour, choose your retirement plan. Tony Sablon with New York Life Wealth Management right here at 1150 AM KKNW.